Alright, man, peace. So, brothers, I released a series of videos a while ago, basically detailing my view that the reason why the Dallas Cowboys decided to trade for Amari Cooper was as a mechanism to evaluate Mr. Dak Prescott. Well, over the course of the last 5 games, the Dallas Cowboys are 5-0, and Dak Prescott's numbers have risen exponentially since they've been able to acquire Mr. Amari Cooper, who I'm already on record as stating that was a great move for them to give up a first-round draft pick for Amari Cooper, because more likely than not, they were not going to draft that high in the first round. And why draft a receiver who you don't know whether or not he can play in the NFL when Amari Cooper already had a couple of 1,000-yard seasons under his belt, so you know that he can play. It's just a matter of what he has left and how much he still believes in himself. Well, in light of the fact that Amari Cooper has been pretty much the best wide receiver in the NFL for the past 5 weeks, I would say that things are starting to pan out, not only for Amari, but also for Dak. So the question now is, how far can the Dallas Cowboys go? And how far can Dak Prescott go in starting to alleviate many of the fears that Dallas Cowboy fans have had about him and whether or not he can be a franchise quarterback? Of course, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to First Take. We're coming to you live from above the Heineken River Deck here at Pier 17. Will Kane, how we feeling, my man?
We're feeling great, Molly.
Fives?
Feeling good, feeling great. Feeling great, feeling good. How are you?
Straight
Feeling
wins
good.
for your Cowboys?
Straight. You know, I'm thinking about taking up bird hunting.
You should.
Yeah. I grew up dove hunting, duck hunting. Lately, it's been eagles and crow, but, you know,
Yeah,
I seem to be a good shot when it comes to birds.
no question. Let me ask you this. Do you have anything to say, or can I get into it?
Go ahead.
I want to talk about your quarterback, though, in all seriousness.
Okay.
It was kind of up and down performance. Almost 500 yards, 3 TDs, right?
Let me say this. That was the worst 455-yard passing game I've ever seen a quarterback have. I'm watching the Cowboy game, and of course I'm rooting for Dak. I root for all the so-called black quarterbacks. I want to see him do well. And I have no idea who the hell this nigga's throwing to. I'm like, who the hell are you throwing to, man? He could have had 600 yards passing. He missed Gallup on fly patterns at least 3 or 4 times in the game.
But then he had the 2 interceptions.
Right.
Do we feel like he's the franchise quarterback?
Yes, actually he is. Actually, Dak Prescott is the franchise quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, on another team with less talent, no. But on this team where they're going to have to pay those linebackers, those linemen, the running back, and the receiver, Dak Prescott is exactly who you need.
Man, my relationship, I think every Cowboys fan's relationship with Dak Prescott is incredibly bipolar. It's up, it's down, it's I'm into you, I'm out on you. It's moment to moment. You know, most quarterbacks, you might say that game to game. Oh, you had a good game, you had a bad game. With Dak, it happens in the same game.
Absolutely. For whatever reason, Dak Prescott, a lot of times when he throws the football down the field, the ball just sails on him. So he must have very bad mechanics.
Dak Prescott, obviously, as you point out, gives you reasons to go, you know what? Jerry, you said you're going to extend Dak, but okay, but for how much? How long? Are you going to blow him out at $30 million a year? Are you going to give him a Matt Ryan, an Aaron Rodgers contract?
Well, as I've already heard somebody else state, there's a reason why Jerry Jones has come out and said Amari Cooper is making him play for his money, but he's never said that about Dak Prescott. So that should tell you right there who he's planning to pay as opposed to who he's not planning to pay. At least commensurate with the scale that's expected with their position.
And every Cowboys fan gets nervous. And then Dak does it again. He leads another game-winning drive. Let me put this into context.
Yeah, that though right there pissed me off. You know, he just has no connection with Gallup for whatever reason. And Gallup gets open as much as Amari Cooper does. But whenever he throws to Gallup, the ball sails high or he just throws it out there too far.
Context to you now. Dak has 13 game-winning drives throughout his career. He is up there with the tops in the NFL among active quarterbacks. He is 13.
That was a great throw right there.
13-9, and he has the highest quarterback rating in the fourth quarter on game-winning drives of any quarterback since 2006. I'm talking about elite categories of actually going out and winning games. I know he sails a pass to Michael Gallup and throws an unforgivable interception. I know he gets strip-sacked at the worst possible time. I also know this, that since 2016, there's only one quarterback, one in the entire league, with more wins than Dak Prescott. And his name...
I've always said that. At the end of the day, you could say what you want to say about Dak. As a rookie, he won 13 games. In his next season, Ezekiel Elliott misses 6 games, and they still go 9-7. I thought he had a great season last year, Dak Prescott did, for what he brings to the table and for his talent level. Dak Prescott always maxes out on what you expect from him.
His name's Tom Brady. I'm telling you, the ups, the downs, can you live with it? Can you win with it? And the answer right now to that part of this question, I don't know about can you live with it, but can you win with it is a resounding yes.
I agree, and you have to live with it for now.
Well, the only way you can live with it is if he doesn't get overpaid. I agree with you. Dak actually reminds me of Eli, except he can run.
That's not a bad comparison. Even though, let me say this, you're comparing him to Eli Manning. Dak Prescott, I doubt, will ever have the seasons throwing the amount of interceptions that Eli Manning has thrown. Eli Manning has led the league in picks 3 or 4 times.
Eli was up and down, but was really good under pressure. Fourth quarter, third down.
Used to call him Mr. Fourth Quarter.
Right. And he won 2 Super Bowls with him. I could see Dak actually in the right situation, balling out in a huge playoff game.
Well, he's already done that. He did it against Green Bay. It's just that he happened to be facing probably the hottest quarterback in the history of the NFL at that time. Aaron Rodgers, that throw that he made rolling out, that sprint rollout to the left, and he threw that beeline to the tight end right there on the sideline. Wow.
I think he's already done it against Green Bay, almost came all the way back. The problem is this. If they extend him to that John Elway, I'll give you a middle-class contract, okay, you can still build a winning team. But if you have Dak, you need a whole lot more. Think about this team right now. Offensive line, check. Defense, check. Like the fundamental stuff you need.
I've been saying for a very long time that, in my view, the Dallas Cowboys have the best defense in the NFL. And I believe that by the end of the season, they're going to be the #1 ranked defense in the NFL. Great
running back, check. #1 receiver, check. Receiving coach, he's got everything, and it may not be enough. So if you...
That tight end that he was throwing to, number 89, that guy can play. Dak Prescott needs to look for him more.
You pay him like a franchise quarterback, you're stuck. If you pay him like a middle-class quarterback and not a penny more, then there'll likely be higher bidders because they're desperate teams. If you have the discipline to pay him like a middle-class quarterback, you can win a Super Bowl with him. But
Dak Prescott will be a fool to leave Dallas. And I believe that that is what Jerry Jones is betting on.
But not a penny more than middle-class quarterback.
I think you're wrong, and I think you should be ashamed of yourself. And here is why. Dak Prescott deserves better than either of you are giving him credit for. And I know you threw out the laudable, so you're not ignoring what he has done. I'm saying take into account what you have to work with. Think about the history of quarterbacks. Now, Tony Romo, before he arrived.
Right, but Stephen A. Smith, we're living in the present. Right now, the Dallas Cowboys, they have a Super Bowl level roster. They really do. When we look all across the NFL, we say, who is their competition? The LA Rams, to me, they can be punked by physicality. The New Orleans Saints, we already saw what the Dallas Cowboys did to them. Of course, it was in Dallas. If they do play the Saints in the playoffs, it would have to be in New Orleans. So could they rise to the occasion? Who knows? The Chicago Bears, their defense is on par with the Cowboys, if not maybe even a tad bit better. Right now, pretty much the 3 best defenses in the league are Baltimore, Chicago, and Dallas. So those teams, to me, are the Dallas Cowboys' main competition. Now, if for some reason the Philadelphia Eagles were able to sneak into the playoffs and they face the Dallas Cowboys, that's a rivalry matchup, so you never know what can happen. When we look in the AFC, you have the Patriots, who of course are always dangerous, but they seem to be getting older as we speak. The Kansas City Chiefs, their defense is not very good. They lost one of the best running backs in the NFL in Kareem Hunt. Of course, Pat Mahomes is doing things that we've never seen before. The dude is throwing no-look passes, so I mean, it is what it is. San Diego Chargers, they might have the best mix of defense and offense of any team in the NFL right now. The Pittsburgh Steelers are pretty much on their way out. The Houston Texans are talented, but they still lack any real playoff success, so their experience is limited. I mean, really, who else is there? Who else is there in the NFL for the Dallas Cowboys to fear? If they approach the playoffs with the mindset that they have just as good a chance as anybody else, they could go on a quote-unquote magic carpet ride.
Think about the bevy of quarterbacks that came circulating through Dallas because you were starving to find somebody that could do something. He comes in and then...
The Philadelphia Eagles secondary is playing some of the worst secondary that I've ever seen, ever.
Tony Romo does what he does, and then after that, Dak Prescott comes in when he's injured. He completes 67% of his passes. He leads the Dallas Cowboys to the playoffs. They're balling with a 13-3 record. It takes Aaron Rodgers to knock him out of the playoffs, which both of you have brought up periodically throughout the last couple of years. Yeah, last year was a down year. Ezekiel Elliott missed 6 games. This year they didn't have it because they knew they made a mistake getting rid of Dez Bryant. Okay, so you don't have a receiver right.
Also, watch out for the Seattle Seahawks. They play within themselves. They don't try to keep up with the Joneses and say, even though they have a great quarterback, Russell, you're going to throw the football 45 times every game. Watch out for them.
Right now, you don't have anything to work with, even though Ezekiel Elliott is back. The second you get Amari Cooper, you go down the first game, and then after that, you've won 5 straight with Dak Prescott completing better than 70% of his passes, finding ways to win games. He looks better because he's got a receiver, a number 1, to go to, and a stud like Amari Cooper. And we're sitting here thinking about the college quarterbacks that are coming out, because Tua ain't coming out. Kyler Murray wants to play baseball. This guy from Oregon, you don't know he's the answer. What you gonna do? Go get Mark Sanchez and ask him to come see how that works out. Teddy.
Mark Sanchez, wow. Mark Sanchez might be the worst quarterback in the history of the NFL. Like, he's up there. In regards to quarterbacks who keep getting second and third and fourth chances, he might be the worst quarterback in NFL history. Like, just being a New Yorker, I saw him his first 2 seasons in the NFL go to the AFC Championship game. And had the Jets had even an average quarterback, they probably would have won at least 1 Super Bowl. Because in 2009, they might have had one of the greatest defenses in the history of the NFL that nobody talks about. With Revis and Cromartie and those guys, they were unbelievable. Their defense was incredible. And if they even had an average quarterback, they probably would have won the Super Bowl that year in 2009.
Teddy Bridgewater, let's see how that works out. Dak Prescott is in his, I cannot believe I'm the one sitting here coming to the defense of him, but the man is in only his 3rd year. He's bright, he's smart, he's a leader, he cares.
Right, but Stephen A. Smith, that's not the question. This is not a Miss America pageant. We know that Dak Prescott has a lot of good qualities. The question is he a franchise quarterback? So after that, the question is, what is a franchise quarterback to you? A franchise quarterback to me is someone who I believe can lead a team to championship contention every year. I'm not quite sure if Dak is that guy. What I do know about Dak is this. If he is that guy, we're going to see it because he always maxes out on what is expected of him.
You take all of those things into consideration. He handles just the allure of Dallas Cowboys, America's team, professionally. The upside is tremendous, and we're already talking about limiting him now.
Well, that's why
to a mid-level quarterback rating.
I'll throw this.
Mid-level.
I'll throw this to you.
Real quick, what would you pay him then?
Well, it would be
whatever it takes.
No, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't go that far. But I'm saying, excuse me, if Matt Stafford, who's never won a playoff game, if Matt Stafford is getting paid $27 million,
but that's a mistake.
Right, that is a mistake. So right away, Stephen A. Smith, you're comparing what you think the Dallas Cowboys should give Dak Prescott to teams who've made mistakes. I mean, who are you going to bring up next? Kirk Cousins?
All right, well, I'm just saying, what quarterback do you want? He's not a mid-level guy. He's better than that.
The point is not to repeat the mistakes of other teams or let them set the market.
But he's not a mid-level guy.
Dak Prescott, I totally disagree about the upside. What I have seen now tells me it's limited upside. He gets air under that ball. He misses throws all over the field. He misses reads. He misses guys.
Yesterday.
But he has something about him that, given the right circumstances, it's not out of the question he can win. But he ain't going to elevate you. He might get it done in the end. I do not.
You can't say that, Max. You can't say he will not elevate you. Here's the thing. We can be clear-eyed about this. He has his flaws. He has his shortcomings. But you know what's fascinating about Dak is that sometimes only a play or two after his shortcoming is revealed, he comes up with the makeup play.
Absolutely.
Winning play. And he's done it over and over. And the truth of the matter is, he's done it to relentlessly over and over. This team, the Eagles, when these two have faced off, who's come up bigger? Dak Prescott or Carson Wentz? The answer is clear.
Well, to be quite frank with you, Will Kane, Dak Prescott has been great against pretty much all the teams in his division except for the Giants. He's played very well against the Redskins and the Eagles.
It's statistical. It's obvious. It's Dak Prescott. Now, I'm with you, Max, and I think in the end, I think Stephen A. is with you as well. You don't want to end up paying Dak Prescott $30 million. I think that's the only point
What
here.
about 25?
Can you find
He's going far. He's going too far. I agree with you about that, Will, but I'm close to it. I think he's going too far. I think he's really devaluing that.
And I think you're limiting his upside in that he can grow. He can still get better.
And I'll start with you, Will. Obviously, getting Amari Cooper seems like it was a great decision. Worked out for them, clearly, right?
Clearly.
How far do you really think they can go? Because we were ranking the teams earlier. We were Saints, Rams, and there was a dispute over is it the Bears or is it the Cowboys in terms of best teams. Obviously, the Monday night game, we know who's playing, Seahawks and Vikings. But do you feel like they could really make a run? I'm talking like winning games in the playoffs, beating some of these teams.
You asked me how far can they go.
The answer is the sky's the limit for the Dallas Cowboys. If the Arizona Cardinals can make the Super Bowl back in 08 or 09, whenever that was, the Cowboys can make the Super Bowl. It would be a magic carpet ride, but they could make it because I don't see any unbeatables in the NFC. I just don't.
The answer is all the way. They can win it all.
I agree. That's the ceiling for them.
The Dallas Cowboys. I've told you that from day one.
Why do you have to take it that
What
far?
year are you talking about?
All the way?
Right, but how is it that far? They have a great running back. They have a above average to good offensive line. It's not great like it was a couple of years ago, but it's above average. They have a number one receiver now. They have a defense that could be considered a championship level defense. What is he supposed to say? Oh, we're going to make the playoffs and go out in the first round again?
Let me tell you the answer.
Oh, come on.
You asked
You're just
me,
making
can
sense.
they? Here's the two obvious
Realistically,
answers.
what do you think is going to happen in the playoffs?
No, you changed the question on me.
Because I need you to be reasonable.
I answered the question the way the questions are asked. You asked me how far can they go. Two pieces of evidence have been laid on your table, obviously in the last 2 weeks. One, the Cowboys took down one of the best teams in the NFL. Can we all agree on that, New Orleans Saints?
Yes.
And two, we have shown, not just on the Dallas Cowboys playing field, but any playing field now, that defense can shut down these high-powered offenses.
Agreed. Especially as we progress into the NFL season and the referees allow more physicality. That's why we're starting to see many of these games. Just last night, Seattle played against Minnesota, and that was pretty much a defensive matchup. Of course, we saw what Chicago did to the Rams in Chicago. And this always happens in these sports leagues, the NBA, the NFL. They want more freedom of movement, so early on the scores are exceedingly high. But as the season goes along, they start to allow or give more leeway to the defenses. It happens in the NFL and the NBA.
Defense can still win the NFL. The Bears showed you, the Cowboys showed you, and I'm going to tell you something else. Even though they lost the game, the Ravens showed you against the Chiefs that a defense can carry you against these top teams.
I agree. It took some miraculous, magical maneuvers by Mr. Pat Mahomes for the Kansas City Chiefs to pull that game out of the flames.
So if you know the Cowboys have the formula and they have beaten one of the top teams in the NFL, the answer is quite clear, Molly. They can go all the way. Now, if they're going to, they got to cut out the penalties and they got to cut out the turnovers. They got to stop shooting themselves in the foot. If they can do that, the answer is the obvious yes.
The Dallas Cowboys beat the Saints, and I thought they had a chance to do that because the Saints were on the road on a Thursday. If everything lined up for that game that you thought Dallas has a shot, I would not pick them at New Orleans. And then yesterday, let's be honest, the Eagles have no secondary. All Amari Cooper.
I agree. Their secondary is the worst that I've ever seen, probably.
Cooper had to do was run as fast as he could, and he was going to be wide open. The Eagles had nothing to stop the passing game.
14 different defensive backs this season.
Right.
13 of them played one game.
That's really what happened yesterday. The Cowboys are good. They are not an elite team.
Cam Newton's making $20 million.
Right, but how many elite teams are there in the NFL right now? We consider Kansas City elite. Their running back is gone for the season, Kareem Hunt, who was a top 5 running back in the NFL, if not higher. Right now, their top receiver, Tyreek Hill, is battling a foot issue. Their defense is not that good. Once again, when I think of elite overall teams, I look at San Diego. In the NFC, I'll say maybe New Orleans, maybe the Rams, especially the Rams. The Rams have to be at home. I don't like for the Rams to travel well in the playoffs. New Orleans might not travel that well in the playoffs. If New Orleans had to play Chicago in Chicago, they would lose. I would have no doubt about that. Because Drew Brees has never done well against physical defenses on the road.
Okay, you've got Garoppolo that signed for 100, what is it, 137.5. You got Derek Carr making $25 million. You got Joe Flacco. I know he won a Super Bowl, but what I'm saying to you is Dak Prescott's in the 3rd year of his career. The upside is tremendous. I don't understand these people that are looking at him. Listen, I saw him miss about 4 throws yesterday. Listen, about 4. I saw Carson Wentz miss a few as well.
I'll say this, just to give a little bit of credit to Dak Prescott, even though I say that's the worst 450-yard passing game I've ever seen. I think that the way he misses passes and the type of passes that he misses makes him look worse than he really is, because his misses are normally to wide open receivers on fly routes. So it just looks terrible. But at the end of the day, he was 42 of 54. So the accuracy must have been somewhere.
We were talking about Carson Wentz as an MVP candidate last year. A couple of years ago when Dak Prescott was a rookie, we were having those conversations about him because of how terrific he looked.
I agree.
I don't understand how Ezekiel Elliott misses 6 games and you fall off the wagon to such a degree, but come back this year, complete better than 68% of your passes, and we're acting like, oh my goodness, the upside is not there.
9 is your floor.
It's
9 wins appears to be your floor with Dak Prescott.
Question, Molly, as an NFC East opponent fan, you root for the Giants. If they give Dak a big contract in Dallas, you happy? Because I am. I'm a Giants fan. I want them to give Dak a market deal.
Well, Max Kellerman, here's the thing with your so-called happiness. You're not in the position as a Giants fan to be concerned about what the Cowboys are going to do with their quarterback position, because you have your own issues at quarterback and offensive line and various other positions.
Hey, look, if Jimmy G gets this, then Dak gets 25 plus. I'm happy as a
It just
Giants
depends
fan.
who else they have on the team.
And I've been pro-Dak
And
since his debut.
Max makes the point that if you pay Dak, you will have fewer guys on your team around him. But let me say, we always remember the plays that Dak misses, the long ball that he overthrows, the interception that he throws. I feel like we never talk about others' flaws quite the way we talk about Dak's. Do you know this? When it comes to long balls thrown in the air over 30 yards, Dak is league average, 26%.
Right.
You act like he's this inaccurate guy who can never hit it. No. Not you, the proverbial you, okay? They act like Dak has fundamental flaws that cannot be overcome. I actually am shocked today to come out here and agree with you. He can grow. He can get better. And if he gets better, you're talking about one of the winningest quarterbacks over the last 2 years.
I agree. Now, in regards to Dak Prescott, what is his ceiling? I could see him possibly approaching that Tom Brady level if he's given the amount of time that he's going to need. When I say Tom Brady level, I'm not talking about in regards to overall success. I'm just talking about in career arc, because Tom Brady was also a game manager when he first came into the NFL as a starter. Right now, that's what Dak is. Tom Brady won games behind game plan and great defense. So we'll see if the Dallas Cowboys are able to do the same things for Dak Prescott.
2 years.
All right,
Who can win the Super Bowl?
Definitely over the last 2 weeks.
Always got to take it too far. Hell may soon.
But anyway, we'll see how things go for Dak and the Cowboys. So peace.